Harry Potter was a great wizard, but surprisingly, he wasn't top student in his year at Hogwarts. He didn't even make the top 5. This is a list of the top 10 pupils who either showed excellent performance in their lessons or scored the highest grades in their ordinary wizarding level exams, or OWLs, and their advanced studies. I'm hoping to make videos more regularly and grow my channel, so if you enjoy the video, it would be great if you could like, comment and subscribe. It will only take a few seconds, is completely free, and you can unsubscribe at any time if you change your mind. Right then, let's get straight into it. At number 10 we have Hannah Abbot from Hufflepuff House. Hannah is one of 2 Hufflepuffs who make the top 10. She was made a prefect in Harry's 5th year, along with Ron and Hermione. This meant that she was at least doing well enough in her classes to be able to take on the extra responsibility. Although she suffered a panic attack during her herbology OWL and needed a calming draft from Madame Pomfrey, she still achieved a high mark, and in her 6th year she attended advanced herbology classes, showing her proficiency in the subject. She got at least 2 OWLs after taking the exams in her 5th year, and she ranks in the upper half of bright students the same age as Harry. Unfortunately, she pulled out of Hogwarts for the rest of the school year after her mother was murdered by a Death Eater before returning the next year for her advanced classes. After Hogwarts, Hannah was smart enough to marry Neville Longbottom, the perfect husband. In her adulthood, Hannah trained to become a healer and applied for the position of the Hogwarts matron, meaning she would have been very accomplished and learned in healing magic, including with healing spells, potions and other magical remedies. In at number 9, we have Ernie Mcmillan from Hufflepuff. Ernie initially suspected that Harry was the heir of Slytherin during the opening of the Chamber of Secrets in his 2nd year. He did have his reasons though. He knew that Harry was a Parseltongue, was annoyed by Colin Creevey and Filch, who were the first 2 victims, and recognised his power from surviving the attack by Voldemort when he was a baby. However, after Hermione Granger was attacked, he was smart enough to realise his mistake, and told Harry that he knew he would never do that to her. After he apologised to Harry for his suspicions and accusations, the 2 became good friends. Ernie took a deep breath and said, very formally, "I just want to say, Harry, that I'm sorry I ever suspected you. I know you'd never attack Hermione Granger, and I apologise for all the stuff I said. We're all in the same boat now, and, well..." He held out a pudgy hand, and Harry shook it. Ernie Mcmillan was the other Hufflepuff prefect, along with Hannah Abbot, in Harry's year. He received 1 of his OWLs in potions, a subject known for its difficulty, and was the only Hufflepuff to graduate to advanced level. Ernie was one of the few students who believed Harry's story initially that Voldemort had returned after the Triwizard Tournament in Goblet of Fire. "I want you to know, Potter," he said in a loud, carrying voice, "that it's not only weirdos who support you. I personally believe you 100%. My family have always stood firm behind Dumbledore, and so do I." Again, knowing that he was a prefect meant he must have done well in most of his other classes, and was an outstanding member of Dumbledore's army. Ernie was a hard worker to be reckoned with. As he was not mentioned in the list of casualties after the Battle of Hogwarts, we can assume that Ernie survived, but what he did after Hogwarts isn't mentioned, so we can only speculate. In at number 8, the famous Harry Potter. Harry may have been able to get some of the grades he did because he had a brilliant and kind friend like Hermione, but while she was able to help him study, she was not able to take his OWL exams for him. Harry was extremely adept at Defence Against the Dark Arts, having mastered all manner of spells. Some of the spells include Stunning Spell, Disarming Charm, Impediment Jinx, and Reductor Curse. In fact, his Stunning Spell was so strong that opponents would get knocked out if they were hit directly. He was also skilled at defending himself against dark creatures such as Grindylows, Redcaps, Boggarts, and Dementors. In his 3rd year, he was the only student who flawlessly made it through the end-of-year exam, an obstacle course containing some of the said creatures. In his 5th year, Professor McGonagall stated that Professor Lupin said he showed a pronounced aptitude for the subject and that he had achieved high marks on all his Defence Against the Dark Arts tests. In fact, Harry had beaten Hermione in 2 of the 3 Defence Against the Dark Arts exams they had taken together. For ordinary wizarding level or OWL results, pass grades are outstanding, exceeds expectations and acceptable, and fail grades are poor, dreadful and troll, and these were Harry's grades. Harry read the parchment through several times, his breathing becoming easier with each reading. It was all right. He had always known that he would fail divination, and he had no chance of passing history of magic given that he had collapsed halfway through the examination. But he had passed everything else. He ran his finger down the grades. He had passed well in transfiguration and herbology. He had even exceeded expectations at potions. And best of all, he had achieved outstanding in defence against the dark arts. Harry received 7 OWLs once all was said and done, and his outstanding in his defence against the dark arts was hardly surprising after teaching his own course to Dumbledore's army, and he defeated Voldemort on more than one occasion. Harry was no slouch. After Hogwarts, Harry came back to visit on a number of occasions to give lectures to the students on defence against the dark arts. He was eventually featured on his very own chocolate frog card. He later became an Auror, and after a successful career was promoted to head of the Department of Magical Law Enforcement. In at number 7, we have Terry Boot from Ravenclaw. Any Ravenclaw in Harry's year automatically gets a few extra intelligence points just for being in the house of wit and learning. Terry, like Ernie Mcmillan before him, also received an OWL in potions, despite being taught for Snape for 5 years, which is very impressive. Terry was very skilled at potion making, since he was one of 4 Ravenclaws who made it to advanced level. He must have earned either an outstanding or an exceeds expectations on his OWL exam. He was also wise enough to join Dumbledore's army when the opportunity presented itself. Terry was a devoted member of the DA, so must have mastered numerous offensive and defensive spells under the masterful instruction of Harry Potter. He was also capable of casting an unknown dark charm, which made Draco Malfoy, Vincent Crabbe and Gregory Goyle resemble slugs in The Half-Blood Prince. Number 6. Michael Corner, also from Ravenclaw. Like Terry Boot, Michael Corner was one of the Ravenclaws in Harry's year. He too received an OWL in the ever-difficult potions exam and advanced to study it at NEWT level. He too was smart enough to join Dumbledore's army with his friends to continue his defence against the dark arts education. Michael was capable of producing a non-corporeal Patronus, a piece of highly advanced magic and a mark of superior magical ability. He ranks above Terry because he had a very smart taste in girls, choosing Ginny Weasley for his first serious relationship. Number 5 is Dean Thomas from Gryffindor. Dean, aside from keeping his friend Seamus from blowing himself up on a regular basis, was also able to cast the Boggart banishing spell effectively in his 3rd year. He also received one of his OWLs in Transfiguration, one of the more difficult subjects, along with potions. In fact, it is known that he received at least 3 OWLs and progressed to advanced level in Defence Against the Dark Arts, Transfiguration and Charms. Dean was also a very skillful chaser, as he was first choice to replace Katie Bell, who had been cursed, in the match against Slytherin. Dean proved himself to be a highly proficient and fierce duellist, as he and Parvati were able to hold their own against Antonin Dolohov, Travers and a masked Death Eater during the Battle of Hogwarts. Given the very strong duelling skills of these Death Eaters, this would have meant he was particularly gifted with combat magic. He, like Michael Corner, dated Ginny Weasley and joined Dumbledore's army. He was also known as quite the artist. Creativity is its own kind of brilliance, giving him a slight edge on Michael. In his first year, he drew a large Gryffindor lion for the first Quidditch match of the year. In their 4th year, he drew several banners for the Triwizard Tournament, depicting Harry evading the Hungarian Horntail. Some showed Cedric Diggory with his head on fire, showing his talent in visual art. Number 4, we have Parvati Patel from Gryffindor. Parvati, like her fellow Gryffindor Dean, received at least 3 OWLs, one of which was also in the highly challenging Transfiguration. Parvati was very talented at divination, according to Professor Trelawney. She achieved a high mark on her OWL exam and studied at advanced level, showing her proficiency in this branch of magic. In Half-Blood Prince, Parvati and Padme successfully brewed babbling beverage to disturb Dolores Umbridge. However, unlike her sister, she did not continue the subject at any WT level, which leaves her at number 4 in this list. She joined Dumbledore's army and knew when it was time to give even the famous Harry Potter a kick in the pants, leaving him on his own at the Yule Ball. Gryffindor was quite the smart house during Harry's time in school. Parvati was an excellent duellist, proven when she duelled Dolohov and Travers with the help of Dean Thomas. It is assumed that she survived, but it is not known what she did following Hogwarts. Number 3, we have Padme Patel from Ravenclaw. Padme Patel, like her twin sister, received at least 3 OWLs in her 5th year, one of which was also in Transfiguration. Unlike her sister, she took advanced classes in potions in her 6th year. This indicated she earned either an outstanding or exceeds expectations OWL in the subject. She joined Dumbledore's army in her 5th year as well, and knew when it was time to call it quits with her date at the Yule Ball, Ron Weasley. She gets the edge over her twin because, in the books at least, Padme is sorted into Ravenclaw rather than Gryffindor, showing her intelligence, learning, wisdom and wit. Number 2 is Draco Malfoy from Slytherin. It shouldn't be hard to believe, but Draco Malfoy was the second most intelligent student in all of Harry's year. That Slytherin determination can accomplish quite a lot. Draco received at least 3 OWLs, including both Transfiguration and Potions, and he is very competitive with Hermione. But it is outside the classroom where Draco shows his true genius, mending the Vanishing Cabinet to get the other Death Eaters into Hogwarts. Figuring out where both cabinets lived and fixing it all on his own, that's impressive. He was quite a fine Quidditch player and broomstick flyer. He started flying at a younger age, showing his skills in his 1st year. He made the team as a seeker in his 2nd year, which was a very difficult position to acquire. When Draco refused to play during his 6th year, his team suffered greatly due to the fact that his replacement did a poorer job, suggesting that no Slytherin during his time was more skillful than him. The Remembrall glittered in the sun as he held it up. "Give that here, Malfoy," said Harry quietly. Everyone stopped talking to watch. Malfoy smiled nastily. "I think I'll leave it somewhere for Longbottom to collect. How about up a tree?" "Give it here!" Harry yelled, but Malfoy had leapt onto his broomstick and taken off. He hadn't been lying, he could fly well. Hovering level with the topmost branches of an oak, he called, "Come and get it, Potter!" Draco had been a very competent duellist for quite a while before starting Hogwarts, a skill probably inherited from his parents. He was able to cast the leg locker curse in his 1st year, something Rubeus Hagrid said no 1st year should be able to do. The very next year, he could cast such a powerful Averte Statum that it threw his opponent across the room. Draco was shown to be talented in Transfiguration from a young age, as by his 2nd year he was already capable of conjuring a snake, which is an advanced form of Transfiguration learned in the 6th year and above. Draco was talented in Charms, as by his 6th year he was able to cast the very difficult and advanced Protean Charm. The only other known student of the same age capable of this was Hermione, albeit he was known to have mastered it 1 year later than she could. Draco mastered non-verbal spells before his 6th year, which included blocking jinxes non-verbally. This takes a lot of skill and concentration to do, and only a few in his year have done it, given the high level of difficulty and precision required in the casting of spells this way. The events of Draco's teenage years forever changed his life. He had the beliefs in which he had grown up challenged in the most frightening way. He had experienced terror and despair, seen his parents suffering for their allegiance, and had witnessed the crumbling of all that his family had believed in. After Hogwarts, Draco inherited Malfoy Manor, which meant that he had no need to work. He instead studied manuscripts on alchemy and married fellow Slytherin Astoria Greengrass. And finally, in at number 1, Hermione Granger from Gryffindor. As if there was any doubt, Hermione is the smartest witch in her year and probably one of the smartest, if not the smartest, student in all of Hogwarts while she is in attendance. She took extra classes in her 3rd year using a time turner, befriended Ron and Harry, figured out the secret of the basilisk, kept Harry alive during their 7th year camping trip. The list goes on and on. Hermione is the real hero in Harry's year, despite being seen by Malfoy as a mudblood. I mean, the rest of us know it doesn't make any difference at all. Look at Neville Longbottom. He's pureblood and he can hardly stand a cauldron the right way up. "And they haven't invented a spell our Hermione can't do," said Hagrid proudly, making Hermione go a brilliant shade of magenta. Hermione received at least 10 OWLs in her 5th year, outpacing everyone else by far. The only subject she did not achieve the top grade in was Defence Against the Dark Arts. "Hermione," said Ginny tentatively, for Hermione still hadn't turned round. "How did you do?" Not bad," said Hermione in a small voice. "Oh, come off it," said Ron, striding over to her and whipping the results out of her hand. "Yep, 9 outstandings and 1 exceeds expectations in Defence Against the Dark Arts." He looked down at her, half amused, half exasperated. "You're actually disappointed, aren't you?" Hermione shook her head, but Harry laughed. Hermione became highly skilled at non-verbal magic in her 6th year, being the first to succeed at it in her Defence Against the Dark Arts class, and quickly becoming so good that she did not need to have a wand in her hand for a variety of spells. Hermione demonstrated her exemplary duelling abilities on numerous occasions, showing remarkable duelling skill for her age. For instance, she drew her wand and placed a shield charm between Harry and Ron when they were quarrelling before either of them could even draw their wands. And when the trio was spotted by Death Eaters during the Battle of Hogwarts, she was the first to react, sending them all to safety. Hermione was exceptionally talented with charm work, and some of her most impressive magical feats were charms. In her 1st year, she effortlessly mastered the Wingardium Leviosa levitation charm. She not only achieved an outstanding OWL, but also received 112% in her 1st year charms exam. Hermione was particularly talented in transfiguration. She was the first in her class to succeed at transfiguring a matchstick into a needle in their 1st lesson, long before any other student. In her 6th year, she was able to conjure a flock of canaries. By 7th year, she could conjure a wreath of flowers and a flask non-verbally. Hermione was exceptionally gifted in the field of potion making. She was able to identify potions and their effects quickly after having only read about them. She was able to brew the very advanced and difficult Polyjuice potion in 2nd year. The only time she was ever outsmarted in potions was in her 6th year by Harry Potter, because he was using the Half-Blood Prince's old copy of the textbook that was full of hints and scribbles that helped Harry excel. This frustrated Hermione greatly. She was also gifted at alchemy, apparition, arithmancy, which was her favourite subject, history of magic, muggle studies, being a muggle may have helped here, healing magic, ancient runes, astronomy, care of magical creatures, and herbology. Devil's snare, devil's snare. What did Professor Sprout say? It likes the dark and the damp. So, light a fire, Harry choked. Yes, of course, but there's no wood, Hermione cried, wringing her hands. Have you gone mad? Ron bellowed. Are you a witch or not? Oh, right, said Hermione, and she whipped out her wand, waved it, muttered something, and sent a jet of the same bluebell flames she had used on Snape at the plant. In a matter of seconds, the 2 boys felt it loosening its grip as it cringed away from the light and warmth. Wriggling and flailing, it unravelled itself from their bodies, and they were able to pull free. Lucky you pay attention in herbology, Hermione, said Harry, as he joined her by the wall, wiping sweat off his face. Yeah, said Ron, and lucky Harry doesn't lose his head in a crisis. There's no wood, honestly. Hermione began her post-Hogwarts career at the Department for the Regulation and Control of Magical Creatures, where she was instrumental in greatly improving life for house elves, among many other creatures. She then moved to the Department of Magical Law Enforcement, where she was a progressive voice who ensured the removal of unfair pureblood laws. She eventually became Minister for Magic. Thanks for watching, remember to like, comment and subscribe, and have a great day.